What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be painting something really exciting. Warlord Games was very kind and sent me 2 sprues of their new Winter British Army Infantry, which is really awesome of them. Thank you so much to Dan over at Warlord Games for hooking it up. I reached out to Dan and I said, hey Dan, I love what you're doing. I paint miniatures on a YouTube channel. Can we work something out? And he said, Jim, I've never heard of you. Let me look at your channel, I'll get back to you. And after he did, he looked at my stuff. He said, I'll send you some stuff and we can see how the video goes. And I said, Dan, that's great. That's an opportunity is more than enough. So thank you very much to Dan and Warlord Games for sending these over to me. I want to give you a quick review of them. We'll kind of go through what you get on the sprue. You can see all this online. These are currently available for pre-order on Warlord Games website right now. So you can go over there by clicking the link in the description. I'll also put it in the pinned comment at the top of the video. They have very high-res pictures of the sprues themselves. Looking at these in greater detail, I mean, they're really up there with the high-quality sprues I see coming out of Games Workshop now. And before I get into the review and painting guide, I wanted to give a huge shout-out and thank you to Painting Panzers. Your encouragement to reach out to Warlord and get this whole ball rolling was really what I needed to kind of kick myself and get moving. So thank you so much. If you are into 172 scale wargaming and just want to learn more awesome tips and tricks for miniature painting, check out his channel. I will link it in the description. And thank you so much again, Painting Panzers, for giving me that kick in the butt I needed. You're the best, man. Thank you. So I just want to quickly show you the jump in quality. So this is the old brew of the late war British and Canadian infantry. These are not in winter uniforms, obviously. They have really great detail with the netting on the helmets, and the face sculpts are really excellent. A lot of variety. There's a lot of head sculpts as well. They give you a lot of options on the sprues. In the new set, you can really see they just like found a way to increase the overall depth and definition within the helmet nettings and in the faces themselves. Like, it's really come a long way in 5 years. So shout out to Warlord for really putting in the effort and making these like the best kits they can. They look really awesome. Just a real quick comparison between like the 2 heads. Let's do these 2 real quick. So the new ones are on top, and they just have deeper recesses and all of the details, which the variety is top notch. You actually even get more heads on the new kits, which is excellent. And the same goes for the detail with the fingers and all of the uniforms. However, they are generally kept pretty simple because they're British and Canadian infantry. Their uniforms aren't that highly detailed or anything. It's really in the facial sculpts that these stand out the most with all of the expression. I think those are the big standouts for me. The mold line cleanup wasn't too bad. It pretty much a seam going down the torsos of the body wasn't a big deal to clean up at all. So like I mentioned, Warlord did send me 2 sprues of 6 figures each. So for this first batch, I decided I was going to use a plain winter uniform. So I gave them all the hooded head options and some pretty basic loadouts. Most of them have rifles, but one's also got the machine gun and one has a Thompson machine gun as well. So I popped them onto this little Lazy Susan I have. I took them outside and I spray painted them gray and light gray. And after doing a bit more research on the color schemes, I decided I was going to go with a more traditional color scheme and paint them more like the box art. So because I went with mostly masked and hooded figureheads, I just laid down a very thin coat of pale skin over all the exposed areas of the faces, and they're wearing gloves on their hands, so I didn't have to paint those. The next thing I did was water down a bit of Athena's skin, and almost like a wash, I pulled this into all of the recesses of the face, then mixed in a little bit more of the pale flesh to bring out the highlights again. I applied 2 thin coats of cavalry brown to all of the overcoats and jackets. This fella's wearing a long coat, and the rest of them are wearing something more that looks like a tunic. One of the reasons I really appreciate and have stuck with Vallejo paints is because for their historical line, they label the colors exactly what they are. So there's no surprise here that I used English uniform for all of the sleeves and pants. I used Vallejo's game color khaki for all of the cuffs of the pants. This is different than their model color. It's actually a bit brighter, a bit more saturated. I like it a lot. It's a nice bright khaki color. I used Vallejo game color charcoal for all of the boots and weapons. It's a nice flat black gray color. It's actually almost identical to their black gray model color, and it goes on really smoothly and has nice even coverage. I really like it a lot. Then I mix in a little bit of white and do a bit of dry brushing, and that gives me a nice subtle highlight effect. I used flat brown for all of the Lee Enfield rifles, like just covering all of the wood, and then I went in with a little bit of pale flesh mixed in with the flat brown and to add a little bit of highlight after that. So nothing crazy here. I used a bit of beastie brown over all of the hands because they're supposed to be gloved. So some of the gloves I had originally painted with a flat brown and some of them I left white. I just went over them all and gave them a nice even application. I think they looked really good. I then went back in with a bit more khaki and pulled out all of the raised edges of the uniforms. I think it just gives it a little bit more contrast and pop. And then I actually went back in and did a bit of dry brushing with khaki as well, mixed in with like a 1-to-1 ratio with the English uniform, and sort of blended it in a bit better too. To prep the bases for the snow, I painted them with cold white. 2 simple coats, nothing crazy. I then broke out my basing bits, a bit of battlefield snow, some broken up pieces of cork, and some green tufts. I really love this PR40 instant adhesive. It's just a very strong, fast-acting glue. It's a little bit better than super glue in my opinion. It's really fast, especially with plastics. It just melts it all down. It's a little like Tamiya extra thin cement. Each base got a little piece of broken rock, and then I covered it all in glue and began sprinkling the snow over the bases, applying several coats to really build it up. This stuff dries super fast with the PR40. It does get a little hot. There's some chemical reaction that happens there that makes them quite warm, so you have to be careful. Definitely do it in a well-ventilated space. Next to a window is always a good idea. So already I thought these guys were looking great, but I wanted to add in a bit more detail, like some battle-worn texture. So I went in and I stippled in a bit of white and brown, just sort of mixing it back and forth along the edges of the bottom of the coat and along the pants and the shoes to kind of give them a bit more rough and weathered, war-torn texture. I didn't go crazy with it. I didn't touch their faces or anything like that, but just like a very gentle stippling and dry brushing on areas that I think like they might most commonly get dirty, like their knees and their elbows if they're bent down, stuff like that. And then just try to dial it back so it wasn't too much. I also applied like a bit of white to all of the helmets to give them a bit more like of a snowed on look, and I think it looked really great. Additionally, and not filmed, is I went in and I fixed up all my little mistakes over all the models. So any areas that were still exposed that were white or any paint overlaps, I tried my best to get them looking as best I could. I didn't really mess with the eyes too much for these guys because a lot of their helmets are just sort of tilted, and I liked that sort of that in the shadow look. I think it looks pretty sharp. So these are just style choices that I went with. I think adding the snow to the little tufts of grass and the little rocks really makes it feel lived in. So I went and I took this little circular Lazy Susan I have, and I made a little base in the same exact method I just showed you for the final shots, which I'll show you here. And lastly, one more time before I end the video, I want to say a huge thank you to Warlord Games for sending over these figures. It was a real honor to be able to work with you. If you're interested in picking these up, head over to Warlord Games website, and I've got a link in the description. You can pre-order them. They'll be available this July. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and share this with your dad.